Colossus is the most advanced lineup optimizer in daily fantasy sports. Lock and exclude players. Adjust player exposure to reduce risk of injury or poor performance. Customize individual projections or upload your own projections. Generate hundreds of optimal lineups in seconds. Name and save the best lineups. Create winning lineups for the top sites like DraftKings and FanDuel for free at dailyfantasycafe.com.
Hello and welcome to the DraftKings Daily Trot. I'm Big Italy 42, and sad to tell you that this is the final Monday DraftKings Daily Trot of the season. This is the final Monday of the regular season. Regular season ends on Sunday. Obviously, there will be, games, contests, and things like that in the postseason, but with them being mostly two-day contests, this is our final week of MLB podcasts. So, with that being said, now's the time to pounce, make a little bit more money before the end of the season. And this is actually a pretty good slate tonight. Not a lot of pitchers you feel great about, but a lot that I feel pretty good about. Good enough that I can easily fit in two guys and feel fine for cash games, GPPs, whatever it may be. So, going to be a fun night on DraftKings, fun night in general. Starting off at starting pitcher, I will not be paying for Zach Greinke tonight at $13,100. With calf injury, made him lose his last start. This is also... this is kind of a formality that the Dodgers are going to clinch their playoff spot very, very soon. I can't imagine he's going to pitch really deep into the game, even if he does pitch well. And even if so, I just don't know that he has the upside to beat that $13,000 price tag tonight. And it's not to say he doesn't have a great floor, because he does, and he certainly could go out and pitch a gem. But I just feel like the Dodgers aren't going to, you're not going to expect him to pitch 7, 8, 9 innings in this game, despite how well he may be pitching. So, somewhat anecdotal there, of course, but, you got one of your best pitchers coming off an injury, and you've got the postseason starting soon. You're going to be in the postseason, maybe not official yet, but they will be. So it's a scenario where I'm just not spending my money on Zach Greinke tonight. A couple other guys I like better. One guy that's interesting, and I'm kind of torn on whether I'm considering him in cash games or not. Corey Kluber only made 2 starts since he's returned from injury. Has not looked very good. 11 strikeouts over 7 2/3 is nice, but 6 earned runs. 2 of them off home run, or 2 home runs is not. So he's only pitched 61 and 72 innings in these, or 72 pitches in these 2 starts since his return. So I think he's a great GPP option because it is a fine matchup for him against Minnesota. Minnesota on the road, one of the worst in all of baseball on the road. So you like that, but 11-3, not a guy I'll be putting in my cash games. I'll tell you the guy I am playing cash games. And a month ago, if I had said this, I would have, well, maybe more than a month ago, but J.A. Happ at $7,600. The guy has been tremendous over the past 30 days, including a start at Coors Field. 30% strikeout rate, 11% swing and strike rate, 0.61 home runs per 9. You don't like the 35% ground ball rate, but what you do like is the matchup here against the Cardinals team that's one of the worst in all of baseball against left-handed pitching, below a 300 team WOBA, striking out 23.5% of the time. I think at $7,600, he's got to be a very popular play tonight. He's the guy that I feel the best about when you factor in price, so I'm going to be locking him in. He had a great performance against this team a couple weeks back as well, 7 shutout innings. So he's been pitching well. Cardinals still not hitting left-handed pitching. I think he makes a lot of sense tonight. Got some other guys that are interesting. You got Lance McCullers at Seattle. Obviously, nice park upgrade for him. He's coming off a nice strikeout performance. It was a quality start, 7 innings, 3 earned runs, but he has allowed 3 home runs over his last 2 starts. You don't like that. Seattle does have quite a few big bats, so I like him in tournaments. Probably not a guy I'll be playing in cash games. Same goes for Justin Verlander. He's pitched well, but at Texas has been a very hot offense recently, especially at home. Not something I feel like comfortable about in my cash games. So your other options, there's not a whole lot of them. You've got Yordano Ventura at $7,200. If you look at his game logs, it looks like he has not pitched well, but as I looked at a little bit more into it, he's given up a BABIP for 375 over the past 30 days, so it's not to say that it's all unfortunate, but 25% strikeout rate, 6.7% walk rate, not bad. Ground ball rate at 52.9, so he's keeping the ball on the ground. He's not giving up a lot of home runs. His hard hit rate, 22.2%. So that right there tells you he's not getting hit hard. I like at $7,200 taking a chance on a pitcher facing off against a team that strikes out more than any other team in baseball and second most over the last 30 days. So obviously the Cubs have some firepower, but I feel pretty good about Ventura tonight. Hector Santiago's the guy that's in a very good spot. He's a huge favorite, minus 170. Not a guy that I trust to have a whole lot of a floor. He certainly has upside. Last start against Oakland, 2 2/3, 5 earned runs. Vegas likes him. This is an Oakland team that's absolutely horrible. They're the worst team in the AL. They're awful against left-handed pitching. I just don't have much faith in him because he has given up 25 home runs to right-handed batters. I'll say this, if Danny Valencia ends up sitting out, I'll get to him here in a few minutes. He got hit on the elbow by a pitch over the weekend. If he sits out, I think Hector Santiago is a viable option. I know one bat, it's not a power bat, but Danny Valencia is very good against left-handed pitching, and Hector Santiago not good against righties. So I think if he sits out, I'll consider Santiago. Outside of that, really not a guy that I'm playing very much of. If you look at Kyle Hendricks against the Kansas City Royals, he's been good enough recently. Not great. $6,900 though is a nice cheap price tag. So as you look at these cheap guys, you don't feel great about a lot of these guys. I think I'm going to lock in Happ. I may end up putting in Kluber there as well. Like I said, Lance McCullers. It's going to be interesting. Lots of options for you here on this slate. A lot of guys you feel pretty good about. And, if you just want the stability, I certainly think that Greinke, if you like your lineup, you can certainly fit him in. Get yourself that nice high 20 to 25 point floor here as well. All right, catcher options. Got to like Russell Martin in the righty-righty matchup against Chris Tillman and his reverse splits on the season, or through his career, really. 354 WOBA allowed, 16 homers on the season, so that's a good spot there for Russell Martin. Kyle Schwarber against Yordano Ventura. I mentioned I like Ventura. He doesn't give up a lot of hard contact, but his main weakness is left-handed batters, 332 WOBA on the season. So Kyle Schwarber, certainly a guy with the highest upside of any of these guys, because you got Brian McCann against a lefty, a decent lefty too, and Eduardo Rodriguez. But an interesting thing about that, though, with McCann, is if he does sit, you get John Ryan Murphy at $2,300, who's been decent against left-handed pitching this season. So he's going to be a great value, probably a guy that I'll end up slotting into a lot of my my cash game lineups if I need the savings and if he's in the lineup. So keep your eye on that. Other options for you here. As you scroll down, there's not a whole lot to love. I like Yan Gomes. Phil Hughes, fly ball pitcher, 5.6% swinging strike rate. He just does not miss bats. Yan Gomes, better against lefties than righties, but Phil Hughes reverse splits. A lot going in Yan Gomes' favor there, $3,100. And the Indians not officially eliminated yet. So, it's kind of a formality. They probably will be. But got something to play for here. And it's going to be a nice battle. The Twins, obviously, in the heat of their battle there as well. So that's going to be fun. Yasmani Grandal, lefty, or switcher, I should say, hitting from the left side against Jake Peavy is an okay option as well. Nobody else really standing out except a good tournament option for you. Chris Iannetta is a guy that hits left-handed pitching very well. And $2,800 for some power. Certainly not a cash game option for you there. But I'll look his way. And then Matt Wieters at $2,800. Probably going to be a really popular play there as well. First base options. I'm going to be looking at these Toronto bats. Edwin Encarnacion, Justin Smoke against Chris Tillman. Encarnacion has been hitting the ball well recently. Toronto, obviously, lots to play for. Nice hitter's park there in Camden. I like that. Rizzo is an okay option against Ventura. Like I said, I like Ventura. Rizzo hasn't been in great form recently. Certainly a guy you always consider. I do like Chris Davis against Marco Estrada, guy who has 6 straight games without a home run. We know he's got massive double dong upside, so I love him in tournaments. Other options, Carlos Santana against Phil Hughes. Santana's had a couple real big games recently. $4,000 for him makes him a fine option there. Albert Pujols has not hit left-handed pitching well, hasn't hit anyone well in the second half, but he still has power. Felix Dubron is just god-awful. He's a guy that was very fortunate to even be in the majors right now. Allowing a 377 WOBA and 8 home runs in a small sample size against righties this season. So he's a guy I'll throw in my tournaments. I don't feel great about him in cash games, but I think he's an okay option. And then I want to get a piece of Hector Santiago with a righty. Not a lot of good righties for Oakland, so I'm going to go with Billy Butler, who's had a little power surge over the last month. He's got 6 home runs in September. So he against the lefty, Santiago against the righty, fly ball. A lot going in Billy Butler's favor, $3,700. I think he's a nice low-owned type of option for you there in your tournaments. Second base, Jose Altuve's got to be your top option here. $4,400 facing up against Uranus Elias. Altuve had a double dong game over the weekends. Another game with a double. The guy's really rounding into form, having a hell of a season once again. He smashes left-handed pitching. This is something you probably heard, what are we, about game 155, so you probably heard this about 60, 70 times by now, but Altuve against the lefty, always going to be one of the top options for you there. You can certainly consider Dustin Pedroia against Ivan Nova, who's given up a ton of hard contact, over 35% last 30 days. Jason Kipnis against Phil Hughes. I do like the Indians as a sneaky stack there. When it's not going well for Hughes, he implodes quickly. Ben Zobrist as a lefty against Kyle Hendricks. Kyle Hendricks, like I mentioned, he's been about the epitome of an average pitcher, but not against lefties. 355 WOBA and 13 home runs. Zobrist, better from the left side of the plate as well, so I really like that. Robbie Cano is the guy that's been finishing strong. $3,800, you can consider him. My sneaky play of the night is going to be Jonathan Scope at $3,600. This guy has great numbers against right-handed batter or right-handed pitching this year in righty-righty matchups. 260 ISO quietly on the season. So the guy, he's awful against lefties, but righty-righty matchup, he's good. You got Marco Estrada allowing 1.71 home runs per 9 over the last 30 days. He's always been a guy who gives up too many home runs. So Jonathan Scope, that's my sneaky pick there for some value. Perhaps put one into the seats. Justin Turner, righty-righty matchup against Jake Peavy, I like a lot as well. And then as far as cheap options, Chase Utley is probably my favorite play there at $2,800. Third base, hopefully I don't need to tell you that Josh Donaldson's the top play. And he is pricey, but, I mean, the guy's just having an unbelievable season. 41 homers, 122 RBIs. Like I said, Chris Tillman reverse splits, so great spot for him. Outside of Josh Donaldson, I like A-Rod against Eduardo Rodriguez at $4,500. He's in a good spot there as well. Chris Bryant against Yordan Ventura is he's a tournament option for me, but he's a great tournament option. I still love Adrian Beltre. Justin Verlander, like I said, has pitched well, but Beltre has been absolutely lights out in the second half. I love him tonight. David Freese, a guy that I feel like people may think is overpriced, but he's had 3 straight games with 14 points. He kills left-handed pitching, gets Felix Doubront tonight. Real sneaky play there at third base that isn't going to have nearly as much ownership as I think he rightfully should tonight, so I really like him. If Trevor Plouffe is back in, you can consider him in the tournament because, like I said, Kluber has not pitched well or deep in the last few games. Not a guy you feel great about, but a guy that, especially if he's returning from injury, nobody's really going to be on him, so that's a good spot there. And then cheap guys, this is going to kind of pivot us over to shortstop. Lonnie Chisenhall, of course, my favorite third baseman in the entire league. $2,800. I love him as a value play against fly ball pitcher Phil Hughes. And then Marwin Gonzalez against the lefty, $2,700. I hope he bats second. We've seen second, seventh, a lot of different things from him. But if he's in there and he's got a nice lineup spot, I certainly like him. Other shortstop options, really hard to argue with Corey Seager, Carlos Correa, and Francisco Lindor. You're going to lump all 3 of those guys together now. Seager, I think, the guy I'll have the least of those 3. Correa gets a lefty. You don't love the ballpark, but it doesn't really matter for him there. Fly ball pitcher against Francisco Lindor at home. Certainly, he's going to be my favorite of those 3. And then if you're pivoting off those 3 guys, you could look at a guy like Johnny Peralta. I don't love Johnny Peralta. Like I said, I really like Jay Happ, but he's finally coming around. Had a couple big games recently, so keep him on your radar if you're not playing Happ. Outside of that, Eric Ibar. I want to pick on Felix Doubront as much as I can. Not a lot of upside, but at $3K, he's a nice cash game play to fill out your roster there if you're not paying up for these other big bats. Outfield, once again, picking on Felix Doubront. Mike Trout's got to be your top overall option if you ask me tonight. He's $5,300. He's expensive, but he's at home in a game that has meaning against Felix Doubront. Got to love that. Jose Bautista, another righty against Chris Tillman. Sign me up for that. 3 home runs in his last 3 games. He's absolutely locked in right now. I love Mookie Betts. I also like that he's priced high because I think some people will be off him. Mentioned Devon Nova giving up a ton of hard contact. Good spot for him there. Michael Brantley missed a few games there with injury, but he's back. $4,500. I don't think he'll have a lot of ownership tonight. Like I mentioned with Danny Valencia, if he's in, I love him. Against Santiago. Remains to be seen if he will, so keep your eye on that. Other options for your outfield, I like Gregory Polanco quite a bit here against Lance Lynn, who's really struggled. He's $3,300. Lynn was much better in his last start, but certainly a guy that I'm still going to be looking at here. The rest of the Pirates, I think, Andrew McCutchen and Starling Marte both in play for tournaments there as well. I already mentioned Ben Zobrist. He has outfield eligibility also there. Billy Burns against Santiago. I mean, if he hits, he's a line drive hitter, steals bases, coming off 3 great games in a row. $4,000 is expensive, but he's certainly a guy that I'll be throwing into a couple tournaments there. Outside of that, looking for some cheaper guys. Gerardo Parra against Marco Estrada looks like a great spot for him. He just hasn't been great since going over to Baltimore, but this is a good spot for him against a fly ball pitcher. And other options there for you a little bit cheaper. Matt Holliday against J.A. Happ. If you're not playing Happ, we know his track record of success against lefties. He's in a good spot there as well. Scrolling down here, a little bit cheaper, Seth Smith at $3,000 and Andre Ethier at $29,000. 2 great values. And then when you go all the way down, another Dodger, Justin Ruggiano, if he's in at $2,300, he's a great spot. And then my one last value, Abraham Almonte, $2,500. A guy that has shown some power. He's near minimum salary against a guy that gives up a ton of fly balls and does not miss bats. So, all right, enjoy your final Monday of regular season baseball. I'm Big Italy 42. Check us out on Twitter at DF Cafe. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check out the rest of our great content for NFL, MLB, and everything else at dailyfantasycafe.com.